The race to the White House getting tenser by the day, but the polls aren't getting tighter. Hillary Clinton, she's pulling ahead overall, and that goes also for some of those key swing states. We're going to take a look at the numbers and also what's driving them. Then Trump keeps saying that the election is rigged and he's going to be cheated come election day. He has an army of one. Even his running mate and top Republicans say the election is going to be fair and square. The question is, will Trump's bluster backfire or will it poison the American public system? All right. Also, the battle for Mosul, it has begun. Iraqi forces trying to push ISIS out of that country's second largest city. We're going to bring in a military analyst, good friend to the program, who's also an Iraq war vet himself. He's going to tell us what all this means. Evening, everybody, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. Thank you so much for joining us this Monday night. Well, it is just 22 days until Election Day. Yes, you can feel it finally approaching here. Couldn't come too soon. Let's take a look, though, at the state of the race. CNN's poll of polls shows that Hillary Clinton has an 8-point lead. Yeah, there's some polls with tighter, but this basically aggregates all of them and gives you an idea where we are. Take a look at a new UPI tracking poll of some of those key swing states here. It shows Hillary is leading here in Colorado, Florida, Nevada, New Hampshire, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Wisconsin. Now, in that same poll 2 weeks ago, Trump was leading about half of those states. All that basically means, with a little over 3 weeks ago, it's pretty good news for Hillary. Nate Silver, widely respected 538, says she's now sitting in an 88% likelihood of winning the election. By the way, Silver correctly picked 49 states in last election 4 years prior, so he's got a pretty good record. But there are still some mysteries behind some of the numbers. I'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about. 62% of those respondents said, and again, these are registered voters, say that Trump is not qualified to be president. 66% of them, they have an unfavorable opinion of him. But nearly half still say they support him. Explain that one to me. And when you look at which scandal is resonating most with voters, since the Access Hollywood tape with Billy Bush came out, Trump, he's been diving in the polls. But Hillary's numbers, they're going up, even though the WikiLeaks documents keep on coming. And trust me, a lot of the stuff ain't flattering. All right, let's bring in our panel right now to break this all down. The woman who knows polls better than anybody, Jeannie Zaino, professor of political science at Iona College, and also senior advisor at the consulting firm of Applied Techonomics. I came so close.
Beautifully.
Thank
Richard
you.
Said beautifully.
I give and I give. Dominic Carter, political journalist and author. Richard St. Paul, attorney, Republican strategist, and former vice chair for the National Black Republican Association. He has a lot to answer for tonight. All right. Jeannie, though, when we look at numbers, help the audience and us, which should we put a lot of stock in and which ones really don't matter as much? When you're looking 3 weeks out roughly, what gives you the biggest tell as to, oh, that's a problem, or, oh, that's significant, or that's encouraging?
You always want to look at the compilation of polls. So over the weekend, we had out an ABC poll and an NBC poll. And interestingly, the NBC poll had Hillary Clinton up 11 points. The ABC had her up 4 points, which had many people scratching their head. They were done the same exact days, the same partisan breakdown, the same types of questions, and they're both very good polls. Yep. So you want to put those in compilation. And when you do that, and you look at Huffington Post's average, you look at the UPI average you're talking about, you look at the Real Clear Politics average, they all average out about +7 for Hillary Clinton. And you want to look at that compilation, you want to look at a 4-way race as opposed to a 2-way race. And then, of course, you want to look at the swing states. And those are the states that you were just showing. And the trajectory is all in favor of Hillary Clinton. And it's that trajectory that you want to focus on, because it's all in her favor. Not just since the release of the Billy Bush tape, but since the first debate, in fact. If you look at the numbers, it's been a slow but steady rise for Hillary Clinton since that point.
You know, Tom, for me, one of the things is because of the drip, drip, drip after the Billy Bush tape and all the people coming forward, seemingly sometimes by the hour, but certainly by the day, it almost has immunized her to the WikiLeaks, which also daily have another revelation confirming some of the suspicions that she's, you know, a politician who always measures everything she's going to say depending on the tea leaves, cautious to a fault here, paranoid of media and coverage and all the rest. But it almost doesn't matter, it seems, even though in most election cycles it would with what's coming out, at least to this point, because everybody's still wrapping their arms around what he said on that bus and all the women that have come out and how he's reacted to it and how he's, and we'll get into some of the things from calling for drug testing, her for the stage and everything else. But it's amazing. She's not paying a price for those WikiLeaks because he's basically doing her the biggest favor and keeping the spotlight on him.
You use the word almost twice. We have to take that out. She's almost immune to WikiLeaks and everything else that's going on because Donald Trump is a grenade and he's landing on his own grenade each and every day. He might as well announce that he's doing a TV network and get this over and done with so he can give some meat to the red base. This election is over. It's done. Finito.
Rich, I'm curious. I've heard two different schools of thought. When the tape broke, he was strongly counseled by apparently everybody within his circle. Don't do a qualified apology. Don't say that it's locker room talk and try and mitigate it in the rest. Do a complete unvarnished apology with no caveats and say how wrong it was. He clearly went the other way. Some say he didn't have, as bad as it is right now, he handled it as well as he could have in nuking the Republican Party in the process and also, driving a bigger wedge between him and women, but at least he's kept the narrative that this is who I am, if you don't like it, go take a jump, right? Are Republicans now throwing up their hands and giving up with this guy? Or in some ways, is he less toxic than he was a week ago?
Well, look, first I would say that despite the video coming out with Billy Bush and the language being used, his numbers haven't moved much at all because the people in this country aren't really concerned that much with Trump. And look at the numbers. The numbers, Jeannie pointed out. His numbers were declining,
I'll let you,
but they didn't move. You would expect a significant move because of that. And
I defer to this woman here better than anybody. 3 weeks ago, he was up or dead even in the polls. He's down now on average, correct me if I'm wrong, 8 to 9 points nationally. He has tanked, Richard.
The numbers that you would expect the numbers to move a lot further. If you look at the states breakdown, those are all, most of those states within the margin of error, okay? So you can't call it.
He was winning Ohio. He was winning a handful
but by a
of those
very small percentage.
He's losing.
He's only down in Ohio. Look at that, 4 points, almost 4 points.
First of all,
that's
Jeannie,
within the margin.
Leave that graphic up if he could. He's got to play. He's got to win an inside straight here. I mean, the blue states that are already locked in, we know them. The Californias, the New Yorks. Those things are already baked into the math. He's got to run the table. He's got to get. If he doesn't win Pennsylvania, right? He's got to sweep here. Obviously, he's got to win Florida. He's got to also win Ohio, and he's got to get all those on the page, and he's also got to find 5 more electoral votes on top of that, right?
This, as Dominic said, this thing is all but over. I mean, when Georgia is in play, when you vacated Virginia. Utah. But let me just say, gentlemen, I can resolve this problem.
Thank
you. To Richard's point, if he was running against anybody else, that person would be up 20, 30 points. She's up maybe 7. So I think that's what Richard is getting at. But to your point, his numbers are going in the wrong direction. He was actually doing okay when Kellyanne Conway had him on track. But the minute they got to that first debate and the minute this tape came out, the timing suspicious, he all but imploded and he hasn't been able to recover. So the numbers, to your point, are going in the wrong direction, and recovering in this short period of time is all but impossible.
Please be honest with me on this one, and don't spin. But here's where I'm going.
I tried to help you, Richard.
You know other incumbents, Republicans running for re-election right now. You don't have to put a name to them. How worried are they that down ticket they're going to get slaughtered because of that guy?
Well, no, there's certainly an issue. And it's not because necessarily of him, but it's because of the message. And I think that's what you want to talk about next is, the election is rigged, which could keep some Republicans home. And, there's the Senate quite definitely could be lost this election cycle if Republicans stay home.
Maybe even a whole lot of House seats. All right, coming up next, as Richard mentioned, Donald Trump, he's warning about not just election fraud, but rigged elections. I gotta tell you, this is not only insane, I think it's very dangerous here. Now, it's not just me saying it, by the way. You have Republicans, including his own running mate, who says this isn't the case here. This is opening up a huge rift between Trump, Ryan, and the Republican Party. We'll get into all that after this.